It's Shuttle Sunday time, everybody. This is a live show at 3 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday in Space Coast Live, which is dedicated for this stream because that's where all the shuttles launch from. So it makes sense to do it in Space Coast Live. We also record this show, so most of you will be watching the recording and wondering why I'm talking about questions and things like that. It's because we're doing it live. We can take Q&A live from chat. If you've got a question about shuttle or this mission, anything shuttle related, really, do our next space flight. It'll go into our panel. We'll take the question, we'll answer it, and put it on the screen for you as well. So those people watching it live and those watching it on replay, it's good because we've got nice little playlists growing now. We're going through all the missions one by one, starting with STS-1 all the way up, and we're on to now STS-51-J, a special mission because it's the maiden flight of my favourite shuttle. I'll be very careful not to say the best shuttle because everyone's got their favourites, but it's my personal favourite, Atlantis. So we're going to go through a lot of things on this one, including baby pictures at Palmdale, because there's not a lot to talk about the mission-wise because it's a DoD secret mission. But luckily, I have some help in describing Atlantis' maiden flight. Starting with Sawyer. Hello, Sawyer.
Hello, Chris. It is so good to be back for Shuttle Sunday and adding another orbiter to the fleet.
And also joining us is Jack. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, Jack. I'm excited about this one because it's STS-51-J, which a lot of people don't know this. The J stands for Jack, so it's 51 Jack.
Oh, I did wonder. I mean, I did some searching. I asked many experts, including people who worked on the mission. They go, well, I don't know what the J stands for, but you've just cleared it up for us all. That's great.
I've made some bad jokes on stream, but I think that one might have been the absolute worst. But I am excited for this one because I love the DoD missions. I love the classified, secret, spooky stuff. So when we get into that, I have some thoughts. But yeah, I'll shut up for now.
You know what about this mission is great because we've got all the Palmdale pictures from all the missions that were all the orbiters that were built there. But for some reason, the Atlantis collection, they seem to be showing things where they were literally taking two pieces of like aluminium or whatever you want to call it American wise, aluminum, and putting it together and then bolting it and welding it. We literally got like strips of baby Atlantis in these pictures. So I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's get into the Palmdale pictures. Because it's a maiden flight, we go through the construction of the orbiter. And in this case, and all cases, they are all built in Palmdale. So here we go. These are pictures literally of Atlantis. That looks nothing like a shuttle. I would even struggle to describe what part of the shuttle that is. And I do know my parts for shuttle. Sawyer, you know your parts for shuttle. Where's that from?
It's also hard to tell given the lack of scale.
Yeah.
Needs a banana.
It really is. But
yes, it needs a
fun thing
banana.
is, I mean, there are some Palmdale pictures on the internet on Google. I had somebody complaining saying, "Oh, you said they're from L2, but I've seen a picture of a Palmdale picture on Google before." Yeah, of course you're going to get some, but we tend to have quite a lot more as well. So that's a cool thing. So some of these you might have seen before if you're a big shuttle fan because you'd gone searching for them, but some of them you won't have. So that's the cool thing. We're going to make them all public now because we put them on the stream, which always helps. So let's keep going through these. They might be slightly of order, but look at, I mean, this is literally the workshop fabrication for parts that would make the modules that would then go into the building at Palmdale for assembly. And I don't think we've got that for the other orbiters. I think this is a really unique set for Atlantis, which is really, really cool. But you can see, we're going to be doing a lot of zooming in here. We've got an hour, and it's only one mission, and it's a DoD mission, so we can't do much on the mission. So we're going to take a lot of moving around, looking at these parts in the background. Look at this old milling machines and what have you. Really, this is like 80s. You know, it's cool.
Yeah, like classic 80s machine shop. I love it. They're probably all smoking in there.
The dress sense tells you the era as well.
Right. And the hair.
Yeah. Awesome. Now we can start seeing what we recognize would be part of a shuttle because we've seen these structures before when they're in modules and being constructed, and you'll see later in the pictures as well. This to me looks like it's almost, in fact, it tells you there, Orbiter 104, aft fuselage, bulkhead, February 25, 1982. I mean, that is, I get excited about this. I know not everyone will. Sawyer, please tell me you're excited about stuff like this, because I find this fascinating that the orbiter that flew 33 times, these are literally the parts that went into space 33 times before they were put together.
Oh, it's absolutely exciting. I mean, you could see from just the rounded top, if you think of what the back of the shuttle looks like, with the payload bay open, you can kind of see that's where that rounded part would be, and then that straight part at the bottom, that's where the payload bay would be. You can literally picture how it's going to be attached.
I also see that Patrick was the person who wrote that caption. Bullhead.
Nice.
Yay!
But yeah, these photos of the interior, like the airframe, they're really amazing because a lot of the time you think of the shuttle as this like, flying brickyard kind of thing, but the reason it needed the TPS it did is because it had this relatively low melting point aluminum airframe underneath it all.
Another one here. This is not captioned, so we're going to have a guess. Sawyer, in chat, join in, by the way. This is an interactive show. And I'm sure we've got some real good shuttle experts. In fact, I've noticed there's at least two or three big-time shuttle people who probably worked on the space shuttle from their knowledge base. I'm not saying so, but I believe they must have had, with the knowledge they've got, who personally commented the recorded video. So if you're watching this live, you've got the chat option. If you're watching this recorded, by all means, add a comment because I think this is really cool. And I love Shuttle. Sorry, I love Shuttle. By no means any one person can know everything about Shuttle. They were such complex machines. So the collective knowledge of the Shuttle fan base will come into play here. But sorry, have you got any ideas what that could be?
I'm wondering if that's potentially related to the speed brake in the back, just based off of the two hinging there and the angled part in the top right. That's just a thought. I don't know for
Yeah.
certain.
I was looking at this when I was downloading it. I was thinking ohms pods could go around here. So if you turn this around and then the ohms pods could go either side there, that would kind of work. I don't know.
I was,
Again,
no, I was thinking the same thing. That's exactly what I was thinking.
there we go. Cool.
I don't know if it's right, but that's what I was thinking.
Well, here's another one. In fact, we've got a caption on this one. I assume it's for the thing in the foreground. Orbiter 104 aft fuselage frame assembly, February 25, 1982. So you can. This is great because this is the shop. This is literally the shop where they assembled the modules before they were taken to the actual place where they put them together. That you'll see later on in the photograph. So I really like this collection. I'm going to zoom in again as well because it's just like, look at. I mean, literally, look. He's got like one of those, what they call them, lathes. I don't know my workshops, but that is so. I mean, this is
It just looks like a big vice clamp.
vice clamp. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think lathe. I don't know. Anyway, but that's just. I mean, that is equipment they were using to build what at the time and pretty much is argued to be still the world's most complex flying machine. So I find that awesome. This guy is very happy about the person taking a photograph. Look.
Also, can we talk about that serious mustache? Like, wow.
Oh, that is
Wow.
yeah. I mean, if I could grow any kind of facial hair, unlike Jack, I am the opposite of Jack. I literally could not shave for 3 months, and I might get some stubble.
It's all right, Chris.
That
I
is
have enough for both of us. That is a full-on '80s mustache and sunglasses.
that is awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
Or I guess they're not sunglasses; they're just glasses. But you get it.
You know what I'd really like? I mean, this is like a very specialized selection of videos that we're doing for the Shuttle Sunday selection, and they get 15,000 views, which I find really good. But that's not the kind of views we get for a Starbase video, or something like that. But I'd love it if one day somebody in these photographs posts in the comments, and I assume now I'm opening this up to someone pretending, but I would love it if someone really did actually spot themselves in these photographs and go, that was me. That would be awesome for me. And I know I've just opened it out to someone trolling it, but
I would love it. It was like that was me. I don't know what I was thinking with that mustache.
Orbiter 104. By the way, if you're new to Shuttle, Orbiter 104, 104 is Atlantis, 103 is Columbia, 105 is Endeavour, 101 is Columbia. What I'm missing here? Which one I'm missing? Challenger?
99.
99, yeah, because it was STA 99, but they changed it to OV 99 because they transferred it from the structural test article. This is called 104 aft fuselage lower thrust structure. March 11, 1982. You can see they're putting all these parts together within the same kind of time frame. The last ones were February. These are March. And I mean, you would never recognize anything like that as part of a shuttle. But there it is. The planning involved on building these orbiters must have been crazy. By the way, health and safety.
Yeah, the part
Wow.
counts on these are just. It's amazing how many individual little parts have to come together to make one spaceship.
Yeah. Osher has entered chat. Actually, you can actually see we're getting closer now to where this Palmdale, is it Palmdale Building 42, Jack? You know the answer to this. I keep forgetting if it's 42.
Yep. Well, it's Plant 42, I think, is
Plant
the
42.
yeah.
So this is all 42, but the photographs we've seen are usually taken from over here. If you can see my cursor, my mouse hand moving over there, pointing towards this area. If you can see where my mouse cursor is now pointing. I usually talk a little bit faster than it actually streams, so forgive me if I'm a bit ahead of time there. But these are where the orbiters were. There was 2 bays for the orbiters. You could have 2 orbiters at the same time. So this part was to the left of the photographs I'll show. You'll see it when I bring up the photographs because I've got some of those photographs. Now we've got Orbiter 104 aft fuselage upper heat shield. Wow. So that's before they put application on it and before they put the tiles on it.
It's just
Again,
a gorgeous piece of machined aluminum.
it is, isn't it? It looks really, really nice.
Yeah, in that previous shot with them with the big circle, you could see someone with like a hand Dremel kind of making
Hang on,
everything perfect.
we'll go back. Was it over here?
No, it's like the one with the big giant circle in the middle of the room.
Oh, go way back. Hang on, Sawyer. Here we go.
Just to see the kind of like, yeah, the one
Yeah.
after that, you could see in his hand just with the hand Dremel there, smoothing everything out. Look at that.
Cleaning
Yeah.
up the machining on the ISO grid there. Is it ISO or ortho? I think it's ISO. No, it's ortho. It's ortho
That's
grid.
an
I'm an
ortho
idiot.
grid. And that's
Thank
why to see something like that and then to the picture that we just saw, to see the finished product of that, the mix of man and machine.
Doug W wants it as a coffee table.
I mean,
I think.
yeah.
I mean, that would be like you'd need a big room for that kind of coffee table. You'd need a really big living room or lounge. There we go. Let's go back to where we were. Now we're on to this one here. No tag on this one, but you can see the machinery they're using here. There's someone working on it. Let's go
Looks
forward
like
again.
a big honking fixture that it's secured to so that it can be precisely machined.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
We've got-
beautiful.
Isn't it? It looks really nice. And we got something in the back. That looks like the start of the airlock.
It's so amusing to me that we can look at photos like this, and I just think about the photos that Mary and I and others take every day in Starbase, and it's like, what, 45 years or so from now, are people going to be looking at my photos and be like, man, what was he thinking with that beard?
He was thinking about the shaving sponsorship that we have.
No kidding.
I do think for a fact that when there's a city on Mars, I do think it'll happen. I mean, I don't think it's going to be happening on Elon's timeline, as we just seen today. You know, I think that's very ambitious, and you know, fair play for being ambitious. I would never criticize someone for being ambitious, but once we do get a city on Mars, be however long that takes, I have a feeling someone on Mars Starlink will be in their habitat downloading or looking at photos and videos that we've taken at Starbase on the test program on the ship that took them to Mars. I mean, that's a mind meld, if anything is. I mean, that's going to blow my mind. But I do believe that what that will happen. I think it's a natural progression that someone's going to be interested in the vehicle that took them to Mars, and they're going to look back on the old videos. You know, not just ours, other people's videos and what have you, but they're going to look back. And I think that's why it's not just a case of putting videos out for what's happened this week. It's also a historical record, because
Totally.
whatever happens to YouTube, there's always going to be ways of keeping the videos. We've got them on a hard drive. I mean, the only way we'd lose the videos now is if,
Giant solar flare.
yeah, a giant
Yeah,
solar
EMP.
flare. Oh,
But
Oh,
I
no.
do hope even if like that timeline comes partially true, even if it's extended, that was a cool post from Elon today, at least part of it, just because he said,
Yeah.
you know, they want to send normal people. If you want to go, if you feel a sense of adventure, like that's what we want to enable. And I want to go. Heck, I mean, hopefully in 10, 20 something years, I can be posting photos to L2 and whatever social media and working for NASA spaceflight, but on Mars. How cool would that be?
That'd be very cool. That'd
So
be very
cool.
cool. We're
By the
sitting.
way,
So go on, get someone. So I was going to make a really bad joke. So please butt in.
oh, I was gonna say what's really cool is I believe that is that the overhead windows for the rear of the flight deck?
Yes. Oh, damn it, Sawyer. I was going to be like, oh, look at Chris knows his stuff on shuttle. Yeah, that is definitely
Sorry.
the overhead aft windows.
You got
It really is.
outflexed by Sawyer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Well,
so sorry.
it's something I think a lot of shuttle fans would recognise. It immediately strikes out, doesn't it, as that? So it's kind of like really cool to see. That is on the Lannister. If you go to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center on Monday and see Atlantis and look for those windows, they are the same windows. They didn't swap them out after like so many missions. They are the same windows. It's the same structure, and that is bonkers to me. That decades and decades and decades later, you can go and see what we're showing pictures of from the 80s. I love that. I was going to bring up a bit of a synergy, by the way, between the old Mars thing and Shuttle, is that during our Shuttle coverage, I remember NASA always had plans to go to Mars, but it was always on a timeline that it seemed to slip year on year on year to always be over 20 years away. So when you see an Elon tweet that talks about 2 years and 4 years and things like that, even though you have that natural skepticism that it's going to probably take a bit longer than that, in reality, it's a lot better than 20 years. So that's my take home on all of that. I should have replied to him about that, but then I might come across like a bit of a smarty, and I don't like doing that. Moving on to... Oh, here we go. We're getting more shuttle shapes here. I mean, Sawyer. I mean, that's pretty obvious what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely starting to look like we're getting near the window frames towards the front of the orbiter here, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's that weird kind of... They really did have... You'll see it when I bring up the actual photographs of Atlantis on the pad and things like that when she's fully constructed. But the windows at the front, there were the one shuttle that only looked different. I'll let Sawyer do it. There is one orbiter you can recognize by looking at the flight deck windows because of something that is recognizable. I won't give any more clues away, but I'm gonna let Sawyer go for it.
Yeah, I remember we brought this up when we were talking about STS-51-D with Discovery, with the teardrop, where
Yep.
there's the black tiles that they have around the windows. There was a few that kind of dropped down that looked like a teardrop coming out of the window.
Really did. It was. It's a beautiful thing that was always brought up. Here we go. We're seeing the start of the flight, literally the cockpit, the whole flight deck construction now, which is a module in itself, and that's why they're building it up here on the structures. Again, forgive me, I'm not a structures person, so I'm sure there's technical words for all these devices that are holding up the pieces where they assemble it. And I'm sure someone in chat will remind me what they're called and what have you. But you were starting to see the build up now before they start transferring it over for assembly, because they assembled it in modules. Look at this device here. This is incredible. So did they build
That's the
this?
crank thingamabob.
Yes, it is.
No,
Jig.
I think that's more of a doohickey, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
The jig is probably the best way to describe it. Thank you, Hasi Osman. Yeah, I am reading chat at the same time. It's interesting because they would have had to construct this before they started building the orbiters. So that's an effort in itself, that they'd have to build these jigs and these massive devices before they start assembling. What I'd like to know from somebody who worked at Palmdale at the time is, I assume they used it for every single orbiter they built. That'd make sense, wouldn't it? That they used it for all the orbiters, including Endeavour, because Endeavour was made mainly out of spare parts. So they'd have built the spare parts with this as well, put it in storage, and then after the loss of Challenger, and they decided to have another orbiter to the fleet, they said, we've got all these spare parts, we could build another orbiter, and that was Endeavour. More parts. I'm moving here, we're getting closer now to where they actually do assemble. Moving through these, more jig. Now we're starting to see more of a shape now. Again, flight deck and mid deck, of course. Remember, there's 2 decks on orbiter. There's actually 3, but 2 which can be used by the crew, which is mid deck and the flight deck.
What's the third?
It's like a lower avionics kind of area. I'll try and find a schematic. I've not got it in my selection of folders for today, but that reminds me to bring up on a future Shuttle Sunday to bring up a schematic showing the insides of an orbiter, and it shows all the different areas and levels and what have you.
I think
I
it's just
like
called the
schematics.
avionics bay.
Yeah, avionics. There's a fun story about the avionics test area at, I think it was at Marshall, where literally was like a pretend orbiter, but the wires involved were crazy. It would give Dan a heart attack, and he loves his wires. Dan, by the way, if you don't know, he's he's doing a lot of robotic stuff, and he's like a genius with wiring.
He's my dad.
Yeah, it's also Jack's dad. Yeah.
Loves wires, hates batteries.
Cargo bay. Has to be the cargo bay, Sawyer.
Oh,
Payload bay.
that is absolutely payload bay for
Yeah.
sure.
I always used to call it cargo bay. I know it's payload bay. The actual word of it's payload bay. And what's this on the back? I wonder if we got some kind of like. Oh, that's the doors open. I thought that was a poster for a second. It's not. The door actually opened, and you can see parts that are being delivered outside. That's crazy. Here we go. We're skipping forward a little bit here, too much, but there is a little bit out of order from this point onwards. But don't worry about it because they're all cool photographs. That is a brand spanking new, no battle scars, new Atlantis.
So
And
beautiful.
by the way, we did look at these. There are the windows we were talking about just earlier. There, the two front windows, and also you can see that at this point, I don't believe she's got any engines because they'd like to install the engines at KSC, didn't they, Sawyer? In the
Yeah,
OPS.
the SSMEs, the main engines, they would. You could see the Ohms engines there.
Yeah. Also, best logo.
It looks wrong being that clean.
I know, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, you go and see Atlantis. I've told you. I was mentioning it before, referencing it. Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center. They've left her. They haven't cleaned her up, which I'm glad they didn't. But the battle scars are all there.
I actually
In fact, on all the
talked
retired
to
orbiters.
I talked to one of the people that's in charge of the maintenance there when they first opened the exhibit, and they were saying that they do clean the orbiter, but the people that clean it are specifically trained to make sure that they only clean up the bad dirt and dust, not the good dirt and dust.
I didn't realize there was good dirt and dust and bad dirt and dust, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, they don't want to overly clean the orbiter and get rid of all of its battle scars and charring and all of that, but they also don't want it covered in layers of Florida dust.
Right.
That makes sense, and I'm glad that's the case because they are like badges of honor, aren't they? On the orbiters, that I've been through 33 re-entries. Look at my scars, and kind of like
Yeah.
if you replaced all those thermal blankets and TPS and what have you, which we've been scorched by re-entry, you're doing a disservice. I wouldn't want to see Atlantis again like this after 33 missions to be like, that's a bit fake for me. So I like how they've done that. Another glorious photograph. And by the way, I noticed the very old fancy truck, and I asked EJ, who loves his old vehicles, and within 3 seconds he replied, Peterbilt 352, towing the best spaceship ever made. There we go, Atlantis Fan Club. I quoted him there. That's not me making it up. So it's a Peterbilt 352. There we go.
Also, Atlantis is the best spacecraft ever made.
Well, it's my favourite. It's my favourite. I do understand the argument about Discovery being the flagship that retired, and also Columbia as the vehicle that started it all off and basically was the flagship until she was lost. So I understand everyone's personal favourites.
We do
And
have
no
a
one's going to bring up
question.
Endeavor?
No one's
No,
going to
we're
bring up
not.
Endeavour,
No,
ironically.
why
It's
would
weird.
we?
Yeah, no one.
Oh, come on.
We do have a question from Matrix asking,
yeah.
why exactly is Atlantis the best shuttle, and why are all the people who disagree wrong, such as Sawyer?
Hey.
Hi, Sawyer.
Hi.
To any new people who think it's a bit weird talking about best shuttle, it's a shuttle thing. We all have our favourites. It was a big thing during the shuttle when they were flying. It usually tends to be the first one you've either seen on a video or seen in person. It usually works out that way. And then you find facts that back up the orbiter, because each orbiter's got their own claims to fame. I mean, Atlantis, the most Tamiya. You've got Discovery, obviously the flagship, and the return to flight vehicle twice. So there's loads of things you can talk about. I'm struggling to think of anything for Endeavour, though.
It was the baby of the fleet, but it was a powerhouse in that short time.
Sorry, I rush into the mic to get that point across.
Cupola. Enough said.
Cupola. Is that really it?
Well, no, there's...
AMS-02 on the ISS was another.
Yeah, they didn't really get great science out of that, but that's another story.
I'm all about spicy shuttle, Chris. I'm all about it.
But one thing I can say, again, flex, I've talked to a bunch of shuttle astronauts, and I've asked them, I'm like, hey, for those of you that have flown on the different orbiters, is there a difference between the orbiters? And
That's
they
what
say
Adrian's
that there are
asking.
slight differences inside, and that they kind of have their own characteristics. And I remember one of them saying that Columbia was definitely the most mature of the fleet that they flew. Endeavour was a little on the quirkier side. Discovery occasionally gave them some issues, but was pretty reliable. and that Atlantis. I'm trying to remember what they said for Atlantis.
Shuttle.
It was the best one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sawyer. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on.
Well, hey, I can't think of anything negative they said about it. So
What? No, we're moving on, Sawyer. Come on. We've got lots of pictures to go through. So I'm glad you confirmed that for us with VR Flex and knowing all astronauts that you confirmed the line special. Right. And by the way, chat. By all means, we can't do a poll because there's too many options for the YouTube's 4 poll options. If you want to post in chat your favorite shuttle, then I will read them out because we've not got a massive audience live. It's it's more of a recorded video audience. So including recorded, in fact, yes, in chat, do it live. Your favorite orbiter, and if you're watching this on recorded video later on in your viewing pleasure, do put in the comments your favorite orbiter because I think it's just nice to get a bit of a general idea of which orbiter wins that. I'm seeing lots of Atlantis already. Look at that! I'm not lying. Look,
clearly.
I am.
oh,
People
come on,
are
Team Endeavor.
Yeah, people watching record video going, Chris is making it up. I've got RC Horseman Atlantis, Booster 4 Atlantis, Simon S Atlantis, Doug W Atlantis, Astro Joe Challenger, Lord of Random, Endeavor Best Shuttle.
Thank you.
You got a friend, Sawyer.
We found
thank
Sawyer's alternate account.
Yeah. Burnt Bananas Atlantis, Riverdale Discovery, Karina, all of them. Good answer. Ivor Discovery. Dougal's done a racket for some reason. James Odd Shuttles, Phil Challenger. Adrian removed his message, so he's either
It
changed
did
his
say
mind.
Endeavor. It said
Oh, really?
Endeavor.
I didn't remove it. Look, it says message retracted. That's not us.
It's right
That's
here.
not what
It's
moderator.
right here. Bam. Endeavor. We have proof. It's on screen right now.
Oh, right. There we go. Cool. We've got Discovery, Atlantis, Enterprise. Wow.
Ooh.
Anthony Truman is going to be Alicia's friend.
Bold.
Lars Elbrom, Endeavor. Oh, hang on. Solid Rocket Candy, Endeavor. Hang on. What's going on here? It's turned. Steve Atlantis. Lord of. Oh, you've done it twice. Lord of Random, Endeavor, but number 2, Discovery. Okay. And then we've got Columbia from Bootleg Banana. See, if I start reading too many people out, my mouth will start to go weird and then I'll start talking in tongues. So I'm going to move back to pictures.
You're right,
You
Ivor.
did great, Chris. You did great.
STS-51, first Hubble service repair mission.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that one, Sawyer. That was the one that basically corrected the mirror, wasn't it? And saved Hubble, literally, yeah.
Co-star, yeah.
We can
Also,
go to planes.
Paint job.
Go on, Sawyer.
The paint job is different.
Oh, really? That's the point you had to get across? The paint
Yes.
job was different. Right, okay.
Look at the plane. It's not the American Airlines livery, basically.
Yes, this is after the silver SCAs we had. They've painted
Boo.
them now to the NASA insignia and paint job.
Boo.
But
The
just look
silver
how
was
clean.
A way better look.
Look how clean Atlantis looks on the TPS there. That's almost like it looks like Enterprise.
Yeah, the difference is Enterprise's tiles are not real.
Yeah. There's the aft of Atlantis before the RS-25Ds were entered into the aft, and that was done at Kennedy Space Center. More pictures there. Here we go. Right. Pop quiz. What's wrong with this photograph? Don't say anything, Sawyer. Let's see if chat gets it. What's wrong with this photograph? It's in the collection, but I've downloaded it, and I realised after I downloaded there's something wrong with it, but I thought I'd keep it in and make it a quiz for chat. Chat, let me know what you see that's wrong with this photograph. Let's see if chat gets it. I'll give it a good 30 seconds for chat to catch up, because I know it's streamed through my voice and takes a few seconds to go to YouTube.
I'm trying to figure
gets
it out. Wait. Let me guess.
Insert Jeopardy or countdown music here.
I have no idea. What is it?
Chat's got it. Demon was first. Atlantis returns. Somebody put a orbiter modification period return of Atlantis to Palmdale. This is when she was getting the glass cockpit. So they basically took all the orbiters back to Palmdale, obviously not all at the same time, and they took out the old monitors and installed the glass cockpit, the fancy flight deck displays and what have you. So this is where Atlantis returned to Palmdale. It's not when she was born. But it was a cool. I thought I'd leave it in because I thought, let's make it a quiz. And there's the airlock being built.
Which Atlantis had a couple of different of those periods as well. I believe they had 3 times that it went for modifications.
That's
But
part
I'm
of what makes it the
cheating, so
best.
I'm cheating, sorry, because I also noticed there were some more pictures associated with it, which was where they're removing the flight deck module. So I knew it was the same period for that one. There we go. Airlock. Oh, here we go. Look at this. The actual hatch. That's probably the
Oh.
adhesive for the TPS towels and blankets to be put around the hatch on Atlantis, which is bonkers because that's where they have the rescue signs and what have you for the recovery force if there was like an incident. That is amazing, really. Again, if that person, it's really pushing the luck there, but imagine if that person goes, "Oh, that was me," in a comment section on one of our videos. That'd be amazing. There we go. This is when she was there for the first time being constructed. Atlantis, not returned. The Boeing signs there because they were Rockwell were the main contractor back in then, but that's when Boeing started getting in. There's actually a meme where it's like, "You made this? I made this. You made this? I made this." And it's Rockwell handing the orbiter to a confused Boeing. And at the end it goes, "I made this." And it's a Boeing person.
So great.
Yes.
Also, wow, Chris, you called it a meme. Progress.
I'm learning. I'm learning not to call them memes anymore. Yeah. You know, I did that once in a Starbase live chat, and I could not for the life of me work out why everyone was in tears of laughter. And then I got informed it's meme, not me. And I went, I can't help it. I'm old. Yes,
No
I'm
worries,
learning.
Chris. No worries.
Here we go. This is where you see the two bays. So this is an awesome photograph because that is Columbia returning after, I believe it was STS-4. Was it? Hang on. Remind me, Sawyer, when did Challenger take over? STS? My mind's
Challenger
gone.
took over STS
6.
6.
Yes. So after STS-5, Columbia went back to Palmdale for modifications after the first 5 flights. The first 4 were test flights. And while that was happening, they were building Atlantis over here. Look at that. That is bonkers. So that's the 2 bays I was talking about at Palmdale. The 2 bays. You could do 2 orbits at the same time. And
You
just,
can also see where the crew module would be inserted, kind of like a Lego set.
yeah. And just look at all the parts. I mean, this is amazing, right? You're going through all this. There's people working on desks and old equipment and what have you. I'm sure there's some office buildings. Look, some foreman down there with his work. Imagine going to work. Going to work on a Monday to do some paperwork, and you're sat there at this desk, right? You're at this desk, you're going through all this paperwork, you're going, "Oh, this is mundane work." But then you look up and you see that. That would keep me going.
Also, I like that he's got a lunch in a brown paper bag.
You see? No, hang on. I'm going back.
Classic brown bagger.
Oh, he does, yeah. Look at the old phone. I had one of these phones. A dial
Nice.
phone where you literally had to dial the numbers physically.
The
rotary.
rotary, yeah.
Oh, kids today oh, my iPhone 16 don't look very good. Yeah, well, we didn't have anything like that. Right, let's go through these. There's a tow out after getting ready to go on the SCA to head to KSC. Oh, old cop car. I should have asked EJ about the old cop car. Look at that.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Isn't it?
Beautiful. It's like Police Squad vibes. If you're familiar with that show.
Oh, yes, yeah.
If only it had
Police
just a cherry top on it.
Yeah, or if only Leslie Nielsen was there, like causing some kind of mayhem.
Is that a Winnebago?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It's a Win a Space Go.
Oh.
That was
I mean,
awful.
That wasn't the
Just-
first pun that was made this stream was by Jack.
And it was real bad.
it's awesome, awesome stuff, this.
The lighting in
Yep.
that shot too is just gorgeous.
Yeah. There we go. Look at this. NASA 905.
We have a question related
Yeah.
to the shuttle on the SCA. Tuvix is asking, would a shuttle create lift when mounted to a 747? and would it have made it difficult to transport?
I've heard so many stories. We have an Astro 95. You know, Nate and Brian.
Yep.
Nate actually boarded the SCA and did an interview with the pilot. I need to find that again because there are questions related to that. And yes, there are challenges transporting this massive heavy orbiter, and they have mitigation towards it. They actually gut the inside of the 747, and they've got the extra. Jack, help me out. What's the name of the things on the back of the plane?
Oh, the vertical stabilizers on the
Yeah.
sides of the horizontal stabilizers. We can't really see them in this shot. But
No,
they're
you
there.
can't. No. But yeah, I'll bring up that video. That's something again to bring up. If we got a Shuttle Sunday where we've got like 2 missions that we don't take a lot of time with because we haven't got baby pictures like we're doing on this one, then I will find some extra bonus videos, and that'll be one of them. Because Nate definitely did that interview, which is really, really good. And it actually has a nice little tour inside the SCA. Really interesting.
I'll have to listen back to my interviews too, because I've spoken to the pilots as well. I'm trying to remember if they said
Of course
anything
you have,
about the
Sawyer.
flight
Of
dynamics.
course you have, Sawyer.
Flex, sorry, there's something in my throat.
Well, I'm sorry. I was one of the guest speakers when Enterprise arrived at JFK Airport, so I was
That's
kind
really
of
cool.
getting to talk to the pilots at it.
Super cool.
Sawyer
Flex.
Flex. Lots more pictures. And that's the end of the baby pictures. I knew we'd take most of the Shuttle Sunday on the baby pictures, but I don't mind because I thought they were awesome. So now we're going to go to KSC for the prep pictures. Here we go. There's Atlantis in the transfer aisle of the VAB at KSC on the sling, ready to be lifted up over to the high bay. Let me bring that full screen for a start. There we go. And we're going to move on to this one. There is the actual lift taking place that's over the transfer aisle and into the high bay because you can see the external tank and SRBs below. This was always a really cool thing where you saw the orbiters. They're not small vehicles. They are big, big vehicles. And then you see them being lifted to the top of the VAB and they look tiny and then go through a very small, what looks like small gap in the transfer aisle over to the high bay and then lower down to the ET. You get a real sense of scale for the VAB. It is one big building. It really is.
And the crazy thing is, when they were rolling it out, if you look at the live picture on the right side, they only needed to roll up like 3 or 4 of those doors. Whereas for Saturn V and SLS, they roll them all the way up.
Yeah. Because that's what it was built for. Built for the Saturn V. That's why it's so tall. It's worked out quite well for SLS if you think about it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
These are, I don't know why, but they're all black and white pictures, but they look awesome. There's the rotating service structure, the fixed service structure. We'll be discussing what's on top of this. got a better picture.
I see you sort of hiding it there at the top. I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask about the. All right, go ahead.
Moving on. The crane's still there.
The dang crane. When's it gonna go away?
Soon. That's all I'm saying. Soon.
Is that soon or soon TM?
It's soon TM. Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
But for you SpaceX fans, and that's most of you, that's the original lighting tower on top of the fixed service structure that is still there. That's the water tower that is still there. You know, a lot of the structure, I mean, the fixed service structure was just modified. It wasn't taken down and rebuilt, but they've obviously made it look really pretty now. And the rotating service structure was taken down. But a lot of tracks and things like that are still there. It really is. You can see, I've asked Jared Isaacman, who I absolutely adore, because I think he's brilliant. And I keep making short references to him because it's like, ooh, I can't help myself. And yeah, because he's obviously been there loads of times, he recognises things. And it's really awesome that not only are they still there, but that these future astronauts, such as Jared, recognise the past and history and really acknowledge it. I personally am a big fan of that. It just makes me like Jared even more. Patch time. Sawyer, do your thing.
There you go. As you can see, you've got the 5 crew members on it. You've got the Statue of Liberty there, which is meant to represent all of the freedoms and things like that, even though this was, yes, a classified Department of Defense mission. Also significant with this is the fact that you have 2 crew members who are New York City natives, both Bo Bobko and Ron Grabe, the commander and pilot.
Very nice. And I explained Statue of Liberty, which I didn't know that story. So it's really cool. Beautiful again. I mean, I'm going to blow it up because I noticed a lot of the shuttle patches show the orbiter, and I think it just adds to it so much. We've seen mission patches for various missions, including SpaceX ones, where the vehicle's not actually in it. It's like, I know Starship is, but I know a few of the Dragon ones I've noticed are not always got Dragon in it. It's like they'll always tend to have an orbiter in it, and I just love that. I thought it just adds to it.
Yeah, a lot of SpaceX ones have a dragon, but not necessarily the dragon.
Yes, exactly. Now, this is obviously still pre-photographs. This is where they do the emergency training. There's some synergy here because we saw a recent video from Ground Systems Operations at KSC showing the baskets, the EVAC baskets, being put through the paces at 39B ahead of Artemis 2. And they had to do, the astronauts, and they will do for Artemis 2, they have to go through the emergency training. And in the shuttle's case, it was slide wire baskets to a tank, an armoured vehicle, literally an armoured vehicle, that would then take them to the bunker. They had lots of training for that in the event of a pad emergency. And I'm sure the pad crews as well, because the baskets aren't just for the astronauts, they're also for the pad crews in case there's a hypergolic leak during like T-minus 2 days, because the space shuttle countdown was 3 days long. So there was lots of mitigation there and training involved before the flight. That's actually cheating. That's a launch photograph. What's that doing in my pre-photograph folder? Actually, it's not. No, it's not. It's the flight readiness firing. I beg your pardon. I was right putting in this folder. I just didn't realize I'd done it. That is a flight readiness firing, and I have a video of it. Boys and girls, do you want to see a space shuttle do a static fire test? Yes, Chris, we do.
Yes, please.
Crew picture. I'm going to quickly just go through a few more pictures before I show it.
Oh, what a tease.
I know. On the flight deck.
Also,
right, video
wait, can you go back one sec to the crew picture?
Hang on. Yeah.
What do you notice that's wrong about it?
Oh, you're asking me.
Take a look on the desk.
They've got Columbia on there. What's going on there?
Uh-huh.
That's
Columbia very distinct for the extra black tiles right above the wing.
You telling me someone at NASA with all their billions in budgets couldn't have done a model just for Atlantis either? They're just basically using the same Columbia model. That's cheating. There's no chance this was assigned to Columbia before they swapped orbiters?
I don't think so. I believe the original number was STS-28 for this, but even though it's 51-J as we know it now.
51 Jack.
51 Jack, yep.
I'm sorry.
Big revelation, right. I promised a space shuttle static fire. So who am I to let you down? This is a flight readiness firing. This is because it's a brand new orbiter and they all went through FRRs, which FRFs, sorry, flight readiness firings, which is a static fire for a space shuttle. Here we go.
Coming up on auto sequence start. And we have a go for auto sequence start. Atlantis' onboard computers now controlling the final sequence. Minus 15 seconds. Minus 12. Go for main engine start. Minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 3 engines up. Up, all going well. Cutoff command should be issued at this time. Our flight readiness firing is completed. All 3 engines came up. We ran for the full planned duration of this test. All preliminary indications would be we had a completely successful test this morning.
There we go. Now that is basically the space shuttle going through a complete countdown, firing up the RS-25s, but doing everything apart from firing up the SRBs. So no launch. But the fun thing is, That's a terrible video, by the way. It's the only video there is of it, and it's on a VHS recording. You can see people obviously going back and watching it themselves because the tracking issues with it. Where those of you of my age, where you had VHS players, if you tend to go backwards and forwards too many times, you'd stretch the tape a little bit, and the tracking would go a bit winky wonky. And that's what we got on the digitalized version of that VHS tape. But it's still awesome to see it because that's history. But yeah, the orbiter would then sway on the pad for minutes and minutes and minutes, because of what you'd normally see, the twang during a launch. So without it twanging back to central, where it'd then take off because the SRBs would light, they were basically just rocking backwards and forwards on the pad for ages. But that was what they did to test the, basically make sure the orbiter was ready to go for its launch.
So cool. I can't imagine what that must have been like to be at the press site for.
And then we got on to the launch. And I'm just looking for the folder. There we go. I have some awesome launch photographs of this orbiter here. There we go. These are beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow. Look at that dark blue sky too.
There we go. Look at that. That's one of my favorite ones.
SRB ignition. You can tell it's right at ignition because some of those red water bags are still there. Haven't been obliterated yet.
Yes, that's right. Well done, Jack. Yes.
good call.
There are lots of from the tower videos of a launch, and you'll see there's red baggies, water baggies, where the SRB holes are, and they get absolutely destroyed during SRB ignition. And that's when you see. In fact, I know pad engineers who said they were basically picking up pieces of red baggy from like a mile away after launches.
I believe it. Ask me about the time I lost cameras to a Booster 7 static fire and was picking them up like a mile away.
Oh,
It
sad camera
happens.
noises. Beautiful photographs, these. There's the shock diamonds from the RS-25s.
So gorgeous.
And gotta
Do
love
not
the beanie
lick
cap.
the forbidden ice cream cones.
Yeah. Look at that.
I'm sorry. I love looking inside the. It's officially known as the gaseous oxygen vent hood.
Nah,
But-
beanie cap.
Yeah, it's affectionately known as the beanie cap.
You can see it there. Nice close up of it.
Oh,
Again,
It's-
beautiful.
it's cool.
Metal print, not ours. Can't do it.
just heading off chat at the pass there. Nice.
Right, I am now going to show the launch video. Now, unlike the previous Shuttle Sundays where the astronauts talk through their mission, this is obviously a DoD mission. So the DoD missions do not allow to have the shuttle astronauts talking about their mission because it's a secret mission and they don't want to be talking about it. So this time I'm going to show you the launch video. This is a better video, by the better quality video. And I will skip through it a little bit because it starts at T-minus 5 minutes. And we don't have to wait 5 minutes for the launch. So I will skip through it a little bit to get to the launch and show the launch phase. And then I'll show a few pictures from orbit. There are some pictures of the satellites, ironically, where they do show them. And then we'll move on to the landing video. We're at 48 minutes past. It's flown by. Absolutely flown by. I was thinking, will we get a full hour from one mission? We did indeed. We're going to go a little bit over, in fact. So let's get to the launch video. And this is where I mute my microphone again so you don't get two audio feeds.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting. Pilot Graby reporting the APUs are configured for startup. We've had a final go from the weather, and the Elevon speed brake and rudder have been moved through a pattern to ensure they're capable of doing their jobs during the mission. The liquid oxygen valve for filling the external tank is closed. Systems are verified normal for launch. T-minus 2 minutes. The liquid hydrogen vent valve has been closed and flight pressurization is underway. T-minus 1 minute, 45 seconds and counting. The computers will automatically verify the readiness of the main engines at the 1 minute point. Hydrogen is ignited prior to building up. T-minus 45 seconds. Just seconds away from switching command of the countdown to the onboard computers. T-minus 35 seconds. T-minus 31 seconds, and we're switching control. We have go for auto sequence start. And we have the sequencer on the orbiter now controlling the final seconds to launch. 20 seconds and counting. The body flap and speed bake in launch position. T-minus 12, 11, 10. Have go for main engine start. T-minus 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of Atlantis. A new orbiter joins the shuttle fleet, and it has cleared the tower.
Roll program initiated. Crew confirms roll maneuver. Seconds beginning, throttle down to 65%, pass through the area of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Booster confirms engines throttling down, velocity now 2,000 feet per second. Altitude 2.7 nautical miles, downrange distance 1 nautical mile. 3 engines performing normally. Velocity 2,400 feet per second. Engines throttling up now, back to 104%. 1 minute, 10 seconds. Crew giving a go at throttle up. Commander Bo Bobco acknowledging that go at throttle up. Velocity 3,500 feet per second, altitude 12 nautical miles, downrange distance 9 nautical miles. Three engines running 104%. APUs and fuel cells have normal indications. Velocity 4,600 feet per second, altitude 18 nautical miles, downrange distance 16 nautical miles. Coming up on approximately the 2-minute point at which SRB separation will occur. Standing by for separation. Crew confirms PC less than 50. And we have solid rocket separation. Guidance converging as programmed, velocity 5,500 feet per second, altitude 28 nautical miles. Downrange distance 34. 3 engines still running 104%. Velocity 5,800 feet per second.
Yeah, told you it was an awesome video. And the fun thing is, it's a while away, but the future Shuttle Sunday is where we have more views, including the debut of the onboard camera, where you see the roll program really well, because it's like looking down at the pad and you see the roll. It is quite a dramatic roll on those spatial orbiters, and it really is a cool shot to get then. So you got a lot more to come, yeah, when we get more camera technology on the actual missions, which come in the later years, in the 90s and the noughties, I think they call it, don't they? Yeah. Where we get a real cool camera view. So yeah, but that I thought was probably the best one so far for camera quality for Atlantis' maiden flight.
Yeah, for not having the ET cam, the external tank camera, that was absolutely just gorgeous to be able to see the shock cone going off of it too, and
yeah,
it's crazy to think that again, all of these we have auto track that does some of our stuff now, but most of it is tracked usually by Max and D, and same with all the stuff at Starbase hand tracked. Same with these, and as it gets that high up and that zoomed in, it's so sensitive that one of the engineers said that their heartbeat could actually affect how smooth their track was. So it's amazing just to see how smooth it ends up in the end.
Yeah,
there's a Vipercon.
It's pretty wild. I've experienced that when I'm at high levels of zoom for tracking, and I'm not even using like a telescope like some of those NASA shots were, and that's why you have to have like a crazy mechanized, like automated mount. And at that point, the machine doesn't have a heartbeat.
Got some photographs from the mission itself while on board. Here we go. There's a crew doing a random orientation photograph that all the crew members used to do all the time. It's as routine as the mainstream media interviews of crews on the ISS. Please do a somersault for the end of it so it looks good on TV. The old flight deck still. Look, before Atlantis got the new ones. They're the old monitors. CRTs, is it?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
which is like a travesty compared to how it ends up looking in the end. Although it does look cool in retro.
Yeah. It's one of the payloads. Defense communication satellites they were involved with for these DoD missions. So for a good cause.
And that looks like the, what is it, inertial upper stage, an IUS on the bottom of it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Do we want to talk a little bit about the satellites? I don't have
Yeah.
a lot to say, but so
Fire away, Jack.
this was a classified mission for the DoD. It launched 2 satellites. I believe it was USA 11 and USA 12. And even though they're classified, we can sort of figure out what they were. It appears that they were DSCS-3 satellites, which is Defense Satellite Communication System. So basically ComSats, but for the military. And if I get my notes in order here, there were a number of these DCS-3 satellites, DSCS-3 satellites. I think there was 14 launched, 2 of which were on the shuttle. Everything else was on other rockets. Some of them are actually still functional, which is insane. But the 2 that were launched on Atlantis have been decommissioned, unfortunately. But yeah, military ComSats. That's the short version. That's what these were.
Got Eagle in chat. Is that the Flight 5 patch in the darkness of space? It's coming. Look, we got caught out. We basically had a timeline. We thought, okay, you know, obviously with the FAA and stuff, it's going to be end of November. And then suddenly they go to do a rollout with both vehicles and stack it with like 3 days before we knew it was going to happen. We're like, oh, Adrian. It was like Rocky 4. Adrian. You know, so they're coming. Trust me. We'll give plenty of notice. I think the main concern people have got is us releasing it randomly and then it's selling out. That's not going to happen. We're going to make sure we give lots of like preview of it being on the release day. So don't worry about that at all. We'll make sure it's done properly. But yeah, the flight is still about 2 months away from the FAA's timeline. So it's a long time before launch anyway. And Paul Woolley, I'm going to take a Starbase question while we're on it. Any idea why there is a 12-hour closure at Starbase tomorrow? I'm 6 hours ahead so I can watch it all. Well, they are going to do some testing of the full stack vehicle. I don't know if they're going to do a wet dress rehearsal tomorrow. I think they might do some testing. As far as we know right now, it's not a wet dress rehearsal tomorrow, but that could easily change in the morning. So keep an eye on it. I guarantee you, follow me on X. I will let you know as soon as we know if there is any kind of like notifications out there that allow us to tell you what it is. But right now, we just don't know. Where were we with the picture? Oh, yeah, the external tank. Here we go. That's the external tank jettison and separation. It ends up burning up and it actually vents and then pretty much just explodes. And then just re-entry and everything. Nothing really lands, but they've got a corridor over the Indian Ocean, which allows for a disposal corridor. And that was always the case. And then we've got this photograph, and I asked Mr. Maps himself where this was taken off. And Mr. Maps, Gavin was replying saying, I'm using artificial intelligence to find out why. And artificial intelligence says it's a photograph from the space shuttle. And then Mr. Maps himself, Ryan Caton, said, Mr. Maps has got the answer. He called himself Mr. Maps. I should screenshot him saying it and show that on my OBS. And that is over Houston. So that is really cool. But also, we now got every right to call him Mr. Maps because he called himself. He referred to himself as Mr. Maps. And he came through. I think he was very proud of knowing that was Houston. But that's awesome. That's rudder speed break of Atlantis. And then over Houston. So that's probably why they actually published that photograph, because a lot of the team involved with the space shuttle program will be in mission control in Houston. So that was nice. I've got some landing photographs and a landing video to go, and that's it. So let's do the landing photographs. Then we'll do the video after that. Beautiful photographs. They'll be out of order, but it doesn't matter because they're all cool. And that was at Edwards.
You gotta love the Edwards landings. You gotta love them. They're the best landings.
Oh, bring up a dust. That's what you know. You don't have. You could literally just show that photograph there, that part of the photograph. That's all you have to show, and you'd say, "Is that KSC or Edwards?" Well, we know it's not KSC. That's not tarmac.
Yeah.
Well, they moved to a tarmac actual landing strip at Edwards in a later mission. So yeah, that'll catch you out later. There's a crew coming off. Cool. Now let's do the landing video. Landing video. I'm multitasking. This is where I go wrong. There we go. Microphone mute time. Landing video.
Velocity 500 feet, elevation 2,300 feet, range 8 miles. About 30 seconds to touchdown. Atlanta's converging over runway 23. Gear down. Elevation 55 feet. Touchdown main gear. Touchdown nose wheel. And the fourth orbiter in NASA's fleet, Atlantis, rolls out on landing, concluding Space Shuttle Mission 51-J.
Not a lot of audio on that one. It's funny because normally you get quite a lot of call outs, including We'll Stop Atlantis, and then they go, congratulations on a great mission in space. They get the usual speech. On this one, it wasn't actually the case. That was interesting, but did you notice how smooth that touchdown was compared to a Never? Sawyer? It's so much smoother.
Hey.
Tell
That's
you what.
all on the commander, okay? That's not the orbiter's fault.
So smooth. Oh, no, I mean, the commander said, I tell you one thing, I didn't have to do anything. She landed herself. It's a bit like that movie. I can't remember the movie now. It goes, planes pretty much fly themselves. It really was kind of cool. I mean, that again is the conclusion of the new orbiter Atlantis. It feels so weird saying new orbiter Atlantis, but that's cool. We have 32 more missions on Shuttle Sunday for Atlantis to cover. 32 more missions. We're not even a quarter of the way through the 135 missions of the Space Shuttle. And we do have 2 very grim Shuttle Sundays to come. I still don't know how we're going to do it or how we do it for the 2 missions that were disasters. But I think chat will demand we don't skip over it. So we'll work out a respectful format for it. But luckily, we're covering the cool missions, the successful missions so far. And I'm going to bring up the title screen because we can do we have more questions? Or in fact, I do see a jacket and kilt on Mars that will be worth seeing. Super chat from Adrian. So I think we should bring that up straight away. Because we don't do these shit.
You know what? I'm increasingly digging myself into a hole here, but or painting myself into a corner, whatever idiom you want to use. But if I get to go to Mars someday, you know what? I'll use some of my personal whatever cargo baggage space to bring a kilt.
You talk about putting yourself in a corner and digging a hole. I mean, you've literally now making promises.
I didn't say I promised.
Rick, someone edit that together with him just saying, I promise.
You've just said it on the internet. So, I mean, literally, it's now immortalized forever. You'd have to physically go into our YouTube channel and delete this Shuttle Sunday. It's like,
I mean, you know what? if I get to go to Mars, a kilt is the least of my worries.
By the
That's
way,
true, to be fair, yeah.
can I put some fun facts out there with Atlantis?
Please do.
At the end of this mission, it flew again only 50 days later, which was the fastest turnaround time between missions for the same orbiter.
Oh, nice fact, Sawyer. Do
It
you have any more?
also only took
You do.
about half the time to build compared to Columbia.
Mm.
And if I recall correctly, there is a mission patch now stuck permanently inside of Atlantis. Because parts of the orbiter, while they're in orbit with the lack of gravity, there are tiny little gaps that can form in certain parts of it, which once gravity comes, those parts close up and squeeze back together. And so I believe there was a mission patch after 135 that was left in one of those gaps in orbits that when it landed, it permanently restuck it in place with gravity.
I have a factoid. I remember that after STS-135, there was a report, which I got a PDF of, and I've got a photograph of it, and I'll bring up on Shuttle Sunday, that there's an engineer's male wedding ring that was lost inside Atlantis and is still there to this day. They never recovered it. So somewhere, one of the engineers lost his wedding ring inside Atlantis, and that is still there to this day somewhere inside Atlantis. So Atlantis is married. Oh, ding dong, ding ding dong, ding.
Just like I swear, baby, I lost it in the space shuttle. I swear.
Yeah. Atlantis using lawyers to get in touch with the engineer saying, well, I'm sorry, but I remember the ceremony. Look, I've got the ring. And John Coxon, moving quickly on before this gets very weird. What is your favourite part of the shuttle program? That could be taken any way. That could be like what part of a mission itself. But I would bring up my obvious go-to is the two shuttles on the pad, STS-125 and STS-400, with STS-125 Atlantis to the last servicing mission on Hubble, and Sawyer's favourite shuttle, Endeavour, being a rescue shuttle, STS-400, in the event of a problem because Atlantis had no ISS safe haven, which was required after Columbia, so they required a rescue shuttle in case of a problem with Atlantis during that mission. What's your favourite one, Sawyer?
Yeah, if we're talking favorite part of the program, as we got into ISS assembly post Columbia, the added rendezvous pitch maneuver
Oh,
was
yeah.
when literally to get imagery of the thermal blanket and the tiles of the shuttle post launch, right as they were approaching the ISS, the crew would be there with all of their long range lenses and cameras to take pictures while the orbiter did a 360 backflip. Those are some of the best images of the shuttle program.
We'll be showing that. We'll be showing that on later, much later Shuttle Sundays. We'll be showing that in depth because that was amazing. I've got lots of factoids around that. I actually know the guy who designed that maneuver for the orbiter. He's actually in L2, and he's active
Ooh.
to this day. Yeah, I won't name him, but he literally we asked so many questions about it because he designed it, and he has some fun stories behind the design of that maneuver. So yeah, it'll be cool. Jack, have you got a favorite element, mission, or something, anything to do with shuttle?
I'm gonna be a contrarian here. I don't really care about the ISS assembly missions. I do think the backflip for imaging was really cool. Don't get me wrong. My favorite part of the program would either have to be Hubble and the associated repair missions, or the early days that like we're sort of going through now, where it was still very much like, oh yeah, we're going to be flying every 2 months, and it was still cool and futuristic and everything. Yeah, like that 80s era of shuttle development, like, up until of course like early 86, really was a seemingly magical time. So that would have to be my like nostalgic answer, and then my nerd brain answer would be Hubble.
There we go. I like that. Yeah, that's a good, very good point. I did notice in chat, Karina Stanley says, the sad stuff is important. It teaches us launch fever, impatience, and safety first. I mean, that's STS-51L in a nutshell, isn't it? Let's face it. And everyone agreeing with that. So, yeah, I think we have to. We can't. It'd be very disingenuous to skip it and act like, oh, the shuttle was amazing. We're going to skip the disasters. I think the big issue is how we present it, because there's lots of things I would not show. I don't like how the news networks were focused on the families during the launch phase and the disaster. I'm not going to show any of that. That's just not wrong. I think we can show the technical side of what went wrong, and we can show the history of what went wrong, the memos from ATK Thiokol saying, basically alerting them to the problem of the cold weather and what have you. And we can do it for Columbia as well. Columbia was slightly different, and obviously 51L was even worse. I mean, they were both terrible, but 51L was just a catalogue of errors. And I think we can go through that from a technical standpoint and cover it, but it might take me several weeks to just format that to make sure we do it respectfully, because we're going to cover missions that kill 14 people. We've got to be very, very careful with that, and I will be the last person to not show full respect for that. So yeah.
And I think we also have to pay respects to some of the people that did try and stop it. The Roger Beaujolais of the story, and the role that Richard Feynman played in the investigation, and all of that too.
For nature cannot be fooled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be a grim Sunday. But we have to do it. And, we serve you. We serve you, the community, the viewers, the watchers, the people who are in right now, people watching this on recorded video. We serve you. It's not our own we're not serving our own needs here. Because my gut instinct is like, oh, it's going to be awful. But no.
Yeah.
You want to know stuff, we'll show you.
We like to hang out and joke around on these. It's, sort of more of a casual sort of video or stream or what have you. But yeah, those ones, rest assured, we will take very seriously. And you're right, Chris, it's not going to be fun. But also, it's a part of the shuttle program. And, if you ignore your mistakes, you're going to be doomed to repeat them. So, it's worth talking about, and it's worth sort of taking into consideration when you think about the shuttle program as a whole. So, of course, we're going to cover it, but of course, we're going to do our best to do it right. And if I may, right now, I will make a request to both of you on air. The thumbnail for Challenger, can we just not use an explosion photo?
Oh,
Can we?
I wouldn't have.
I would like to not show them at all personally, but
yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm throwing it out there because every now and then, YouTube knows I watch space videos, right? And I'll be like scrolling around on YouTube, and it's just like bam, right in my face, the shot of the explosion and the after, and I'm just like, I don't want to see that. I've seen it. I don't want to see it. So yeah, not that I thought that we would do that, but just to give an example of the sort of reverence that we're going to treat that mission with.
We wouldn't have, and I know exactly what I'm going to show. I know for both of these, for 51L and 107, I know exactly the thumbnail I will use. And it will be the memorial ones. So it'll be very respectful. It will not, I would never show the explosion as a thumbnail. I mean, it's a very good point to bring up, and it's almost like a point to emphasize the fact that we wouldn't do it. Because, yeah, exactly. I've seen enough videos out there on YouTube where it's in my algorithm because I'm searching for stuff like that. So it's going to be, that's the kind of clickbait ones they tend to put out there. There's ways of doing it, and I know exactly what to do for that. I think the biggest thing is how to present the show over an hour. I think it might last more than an hour for a start. And we might get some more people on as well, because it's also a positive thing, and that sounds crazy to say, because these disasters, and we go back to Apollo 1 as well, are things that have provided the tools to increase the safety of what we're seeing right now. Everything is playing in. The history of it is not ignored by Dragon, by Starliner. I mean, look at the decision-making on Starliner. That referenced Challenger and Columbia. Right. Bill Nelson referenced it. I mean, that was proof, if you ever need it, that the history is there, and it's been played into effect today for crew safety. So yeah, there's lots of ways we can do this. But yeah, that's not just yet, later. So we got that to come. But yeah, for now, this Shuttle Sunday, back onto the positive, the entrance of Atlantis, her maiden flight, the first of 33 missions to space. And 33 missions she completed and ended the space shuttle program with SS-135, and is now proudly on display to many people at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center in a very nice exhibition that allows people to look at this orbiter in a flight configuration almost, because she's got the battle scars as Sawyer was talking about. to this day. So I think that's a lovely thing that we can look at these debut missions and know that she's still around. You could go and visit her if you wanted to today. So that's really cool. So let me thank everybody who's been on this show, starting with the viewers. Thank you for joining us on this one. It's always nice to have this hardcore audience. This is not one of our bigger streams. This is not one of our bigger videos where we put it on recorded video. But I think it's important we do cover it because it is part of our site history. This is what we started the site for Shuttle, because it was during the Shuttle missions. So thanks for joining us on that one. Also, thank you to Sawyer. Thank you, Sawyer.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I love talking about Shuttle. Even if Endeavor is the best, Atlantis has a storied history. And not just because Story Musgrave has flown on all of them.
Hang on, you're trying to muddy that to stop me countering you on the Endeavor's the best, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
very nicely
no,
played,
that definitely wasn't what I was doing.
Again, as you may have heard at the start of the show, if you're watching the recorded video of this, please post in the comments which one is your favourite orbiter, because I think it'd be nice to see a general overview of what people think is their best orbiter. I'm going to count the comments as well later on, so do by all means post in the comment section of the recorded video that'll be up in about a few hours' time later on, pending Jay, send it to the YouTubes. Also, thank you to Jack. Thank you, Jack.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. Always love a good Shuttle Sunday.
And speaking of Jay, thanks to Jay in the background. He has now worked out how to sort our audio thing on his old videos. So it's now played. I think everything went technically well with this one. So that was very cool. Thank you very much for Jay in the background.
I'm going to start calling him STS-51-J.
Oh, you
Oh my
could
gosh.
literally do that, couldn't you?
How did we miss that one?
I know, that literally is STS-51-J. Literally.
That's what I'm most mad about, is that we missed that part the whole time.
Oh,
we got it in
Jay.
at the end.
It's probably sobbing in the background going, why did they call it? They're calling it Jack, and they could have just called it Jay and got away with it. Oh, poor Jay. Never mind, not to worry. But thanks for joining us. We went well over the hour, 1 hour 15 minutes. I thought we might just do an hour with one mission because of the baby pictures and whatever, but we did 1 hour 15 minutes, and that flew by. And they do say time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, that was cool. Thank you for joining us, and until the next Shuttle Sunday, goodbye.